Have you ever wondered what it takes to become a master sommelier? And even beyond that, to compete in the world's best sommelier competition? Well, that's exactly what we're going to learn from our guest tonight here on the Sunday Sipper Club. I'm Natalie McLean, editor of Canada's largest wine review site, and you've joined us here where we gather every week, Sundays at 6 Eastern, that's Toronto, New York time, to talk to the most interesting people in the world of wine. We gather here on Facebook Live, YouTube Livestream, and Twitter via Periscope. Now, I would love to know if, before I introduce my guest fully, do you know what it takes to become a master sommelier? Do you know how many years of study, how many hours, how many wines these folks taste to become this very, very coveted, or to get this very, very coveted designation? Hey, Beverly, you just joined us. Awesome. All right, so post in the comments below, yes or no. Do you have any idea what it takes? Good evening, Paul. Welcome. And Rochelle. All right, so let me get to our guest and this conversation. So our guest this evening has not only earned a coveted Master Sommelier designation, but she was named Canada's best sommelier in a very fierce competition, and then she went on to place 5th in the world at the world's best sommelier competition. She has lots of tips and tricks to share with us about appreciating wine, tasting wine, and she joins me now live from her home in Montreal. Welcome to the Sunday Sipper Club, Elyse Lambert. Hello.
Good evening.
Hi. Thanks so much for joining us, Elyse. We're really pleased to have you here, and we're so curious about your background. Maybe you could just start off by telling us, do you remember the exact moment when you realized I want to be a sommelier?
I have a pretty clear idea from my first class, my first wine class. I totally fell in love with everything that was touching wine, from the discovery of all the different flavors to the geography to the history to my first teacher was just amazing. So that was in 1998. And for me, it was like, okay, that's what I want to do for a living. So I was the first in the class all the time, pushing my desk just next to the teacher's desk and asking millions of questions. And that's where everything started. I was in hotel management at the time.
Okay.
At the Institute of Tourism and Hotel Management.
Is that in Montreal, that school?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you were class keener and you realized that you want. Now, did wine run in the family? Is anybody else in the business, or was wine part of growing up on the table, or what got you actually going into that program in the first place?
Food was very important home. My mom was cooking each and every night, and having this dinner together as a family and having this very precious time around the table made me believe that the table is the number one place where you can learn and share and grow and get everything that you need to have as a kid to grow up with the right tools in your toolbox. And this being said, having the idea that the table was so important, when I got into hotel management, the idea was that I wanted to take care of people. So that was my number one. And from that, the wine world just opened up to me, and I went back to a second class, a real sommelier class in '99, and got my real certification at the time. And since then, I've been just thirsty.
Thirsty, that's a great way to put it. I love it. All right, I'm going to welcome some people who have been pouring in. Tim is here from Peterborough. Stephen Andrews, hello. Sam Hock is here from the West Coast. You may know Sam, I'm not sure, Elyse, but he teaches wine classes out in Vancouver. Paul Hollander is here with Patty from Virginia. Anne McLean is here from Halifax. Rochelle is here in Ottawa. Beverly in California. It's a full house and people are coming in. So welcome, everybody. Now, yes, absolutely. And while I've got a moment here, oh, hi, Elyse from Northern Ontario, and Andrea's here from Ottawa. Shell is here. Elyse is amazing. I have much respect for this brilliant lady. Our time in Italy this past fall was phenomenal. Murray Johnson says, good evening, ladies. Hello, Murray. All right, wow. If I miss your comment, folks, just repost it. As I say, I'm not ignoring you. It's just the comments go by so quickly. And while I have this little hiatus, please do take a moment to share this video, comment, at the end of tonight's broadcast, I will be announcing the winner of last week's contest, and that would be a $100 gift certificate to our guest, Charles Stephen Trenome's course or seminar, Importing Wine for Pleasure and Profit. So based on folks who either shared or commented below, or both is better, that would be great. And tonight, we're going to announce, for those who share the video tonight, I'm going to pick 2 people, and each of you will win one of these books, Red, White, and Drunk All Over and Unquenchable, from yours truly. So get busy and share it. All right. So Elyse, so you took the hotel management and the sommelier classes, and then did you go and work in the industry, or then did you jump sort of straight into the studies in preparation for the master sommelier designation?
I was already working in the industry, and I've been since I was 16. So restaurant was for me something that was part of my life already. Yeah. Though when I took my hotel management class, I had the chance to start working in high-end hotel and restaurant, and that's where I got all the tools for knowing fish and meat and sauce and soup and having like a great depth on beautiful wine list and wine cellar. I'm remembering quite well the Hatley Inn that sadly burned down a few years ago, but we had one of the most impressive wine lists at the time, and I was totally like looking at the sommelier and wanting so much to do what he was doing. So that got me into wine quite quickly when I finished school, and got me some of the best internship as well. I was working in really, really nice places.
Which places? Tell us some of the restaurants that you interned at. Maybe we'll recognize some of them.
Well, of course, the Hove Manor.
Oh, yes.
Hove Manor, that is now a part of Relais Chateau chain. And I've been at Loa La Bouche as well, that closed down, but that was part of Relais Chateau as well. And it's been just amazing experiences where I learned truly what was a sommelier all about. And since I was quite junior in those places, they were at the Loa La Bouche, I'm thinking of everybody there at a sommelier class. So they were allowing us to work in our own section, so selling the wine and the food in our own section. So I took like step by step the possibility of wanting to suggest and slowly having as well the sommelier to support me in this. So it was kind of super nice. But what got me into competition is first and foremost, when I got out of school in '99, I was like, I don't know anything. Like I just had a sommelier class, but there's so much things to know, so many things. And from that view, I was looking for a challenge to keep in my book. And that's why I started. The sommelier at the Hatley Inn actually was already competing with a friend at the time for Best of Quebec. And I was looking at what they were doing, totally thrilled and wanting to participate and doing blind tasting with them. I was like rookie as we can be at the time, but it was just good stuff. Perfect.
So you started off with the Best Sommelier Quebec competition. You got your feet wet there. 2004. Okay.
2004.
And how did you do that year? Was it mostly a year of experience, shall we say, or how did it go?
Oh, that was my second time. The first time was totally a trial, but in 2004 I won Best Sommelier of Quebec. For the first time, it was we had 3 women on the podium, and that was something that was quite exceptional. That opened like a little window somewhere, thinking, oh, place for women in the industry, yeah, that could make sense.
Yeah.
So that was 2004.
So on your second try, you won. So you went in as a trial the first year, and then you went on and won it the second year.
Yes, it was
Wow.
3 years at the time, but I wanted to get better at what I do, and that was for me a good way to do so. I have very good figure around me that were already training in this way and learning from them and understanding what was required. But that's been a long journey, and since then I've been only on the fast track of learning, tasting, traveling.
Absolutely. Now, how does a competition help you become a better sommelier in a restaurant? What are the things that competition brings out in you that you bring to the restaurant floor?
Knowledge.
Yes. Okay.
Actually, it's you don't need to do competition to be a great sommelier. For me, it was to give me a reason to keep in my books, because many of you may know that if you finish your class and you close your book and you don't open your book ever again, don't read, don't taste, don't travel, well, you won't keep up to date for very long.
Right.
So that was a little bit of the reason I wanted to.
A motivator. Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So you.
That's the case.
Is it? Yes. Yeah. Are you still competing now? You've won Canada's best and come 5th in the world. Are you still going to go back to those competitions or the worlds, or what are your plans right now for competition?
It's too early to say.
Okay.
For now I'm selling my books.
Okay. You're selling your book. Oh, okay. Tell us about your book.
I'm still in my book. I'm still learning. I'm
you're still in your book. Sorry.
In my book.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. But you do have a book, or you co-wrote a book with 2 other authors, right?
Yes.
And what? Oh, you're going to have to translate for this poor little Anglophone. What is the title in English, please?
In French, it's called Les Méchants Raisins.
Okay.
It's like bad grapes.
Bad grapes. Okay.
Bad grapes, but in a good way. And so it's been my 2nd year writing a book with 2 colleagues.
Yeah.
We started this whole little booklet to keep people up to date on what's new, what's good, what's great value wine, a little bit about orange wine, what's about natural wine.
Right, all the trendy wines.
Yes, so we're like writing on trends each and every year, but at the same time as well, wanting to give suggestion on if you're eating a big like spaghetti with meatball, like a couple of suggestions for that, or some pizza, or you want to have like chicken, like we want to keep pairing as simple as possible, giving little tricks for people to understand what the pairing are all about. So it's mini chapters. It's very easy to read.
Okay, and so take us there. You've whet our appetite. What would you suggest with spaghetti and meatballs? How would you pair that? What would be the tip or trick to remember?
Well, Italian food, Italian wine. That's
regional.
For me, regional is number 1, and as well, I really like tomato sauce. Tomato and Sangiovese are just super partners. So when I start pairing, I like to think of what I would drink if I was in that specific place of the world. So regional pairing. Yeah. But as well, the acidity of the Sangiovese with the tomato is just like something not to miss. So a great Chianti or some Morellino di Scansano or Brunello di Montalcino. You want to go, it depends on your budget. So I have different suggestions at different price points.
Okay, fantastic. And Andrea Shapiro, outstanding, Elyse. Wow, well done. Do you have a personal favorite wine? I'm sure you get asked that. Maybe it's the one you have in your glass tonight.
Tonight sure. I'm working on an article that I need to write for tomorrow, but I would say that my favorite varietal right now is Nebbiolo.
Why is that?
And for Nebbiolo. Finesse and elegance on the aromatic and like little grippy tannins is fun for me, but the freshness and the beautiful acidity on the backbone of the Nebbiolo. And I have to say that I've visited Piedmont and Barolo and Barbaresco region have been like beautiful experiences and still becoming more and more trendy, and that's the difficulty because now the prices are going up quite quickly.
Right.
And in white, I would say Burgundy, Chardonnay. Oh. I'm a Chardonnay girl. Like, I'm one of those. Sorry.
No need to apologize. We've come back again from ABC, anything but Chardonnay. We've flipped the other way. Chardonnay is cool again, especially Burgundy. That's a cool climate, right?
I have to say that many of my master sommelier friends are totally into Riesling, and I'm really okay with that. But there's nothing for me like a Chablis, Great Burgundy, Meursault, Puligny Montrachet. Like those guys are just in my top favorite. If you want to make me happy,
yes, and we do.
Of Meursault on a fresh vintage, and you're gonna keep the sommelier like smiling.
Wow. Okay. All variations on the theme of Chardonnay. Cool climate Chardonnay. All right. So let me just look over here. Lynn loves Nebbiolo, her favorite lately too. Tim is saying, I'm traveling to France in the spring in the Loire Valley and the Champagne region just outside of Paris. Have you been there, and do you have any favorites that you want to share with us?
Yes, of course. Champagne, of course, there is tons of very good champagne producer. I think wanting to vary the pleasure, wanting to visit maybe some bigger champagne house will be important to see how they work, but wanting as well to focus on some smaller ones. So I would go with one of the big group from LVMH, which is, you can think
Louis,
of
Hennessy, Vuitton. It's Veuve Clicquot and Moët Chandon,
Chandon
all the
and so
biggies.
on.
Yeah.
What's important is and what's nice is to understand how they work, and from that maybe like go to something that is a little bit more on a smaller scale, but with like Paul Roger, for example, that is still family owned,
Okay.
and go on some smaller one, or Henriot, who can be quite fun.
Right.
Or some smaller one. I love Agrapar and Normandie Bernier.
Yeah.
So Agrapar for me is a must. It drinks like wine. And Normandie Bernier as well. Those guys, or Pascal Doquet. So small growers. I like to think when you visit a region that you should not focus only on the small one. You should focus a little bit of everything to have a good overview of the region.
Great answer. Fantastic. And just again, if you're just joining us, or if you're even watching the replay and you weren't able to catch us live, please do still comment, share this video. The person or two people who do, next week at the end of next week's broadcast, I'll announce two winners of these two books. And at the end of tonight's broadcast, I'll be announcing our winner from last week, a $100 gift certificate to Stephen Trenholm's seminar. So Tim, okay, we've answered your question, Tim. Lise, Nebbiolo is Barolo. Yes, it is. And
yes.
Dave Head is here. We had Planeta last night. It was so good. So you're talking about Nero d'Avola from Sicily, I think, Dave. Yeah. Do you like those wines as well of Sicily, Elyse?
I would say that the new trend for sommelier, and it's been going on for a little bit more than a year now, is Etna,
right.
Etna Rosso.
Volcanic,
Etna,
yeah.
Volcanic soil. So Nerello Mascalese, main varietal for that, and Nerello Mascalese. If you don't know this varietal, it's nice because it's kind of a combination. It's not a crossing. I'm just saying stylistically, it's a combination in between Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo. So if you like those two varietal, go and explore Etna Rosso and Nerello Mascalese. It's a fantastic varietal.
Yeah.
And that's been my pizza wine too.
Oh, pizza wine. Excellent. We're always up for that. And did you, I'm sure you did, watch the documentary Somm?
Course.
Yes, of course. Okay. Obvious. But what was your opinion of that documentary? It's all about, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, the making of it. These group of, mostly guys, I think, try to pass, they were all guys?
Too many guys.
Too many guys. Good for you. But they're all trying to pass the Master Sommelier exam. And so it chronicles their studies and their dialogue, and some pass, some fail. What was your opinion of that documentary? Was it a good depiction, or did you have some criticisms of it? What was your take on that?
But I'd like to see more girls. That's for sure.
For sure. There was there wasn't one woman, was there, in there?
There was like one that flew there and disappeared quite quickly, but
okay.
Not. And it was a study group, so it's normal that, you don't want to include someone that was not there, maybe to start with, which makes sense for the purpose of the sommelier or the Somm movie. What I like about this movie was for people to understand how difficult and how committed you need to be if you want to become a master sommelier. There's kind of it's a little bit of Americanized. I was not working with flashcard. I was not studying like late at night because it could not fit. No, you're here in my study bubble.
Yes.
So welcome in my nest.
I love that nest.
And I am studying most of the time in the morning. I think that you need to be mentally ready and mentally rested if you want to absorb the information.
Right.
Flashcard is not for everybody. I haven't been studying with flashcards, so everybody is different. I was not studying in a group either. So studying as a group can be fun. Tasting, I've been choosing the people I was tasting with, and I think the beauty is in the diversity. If you want to succeed, I think that tasting with different people will allow you to get nervous when tasting with some certain people, not playing their game as well. Sometimes if you taste always with the same people, you end up knowing what they're buying all the time.
Right.
So you can read before tasting, like what you think that they could have brought. So if you think of tasting and wanting to step further as in your journey as a master sommelier, taste with different people. Taste with people you're not aware or you don't know. Like just get in an uncomfortable position, because the day of the exam, you don't know who's going to be sitting in front of you. You have no idea of what the wine will be. So you have to be like mentally and physically ready for something new. So
I love that you say get in an uncomfortable position. I think that's when we're learning. Like just on the other side of fear is a deep-seated learning. So were you really nervous? Maybe another obvious question, but okay. So how did you deal with your nerves when it came to, you can talk about either taking the Master Sommelier exam or one of the competitions. Like maybe there's a strategy you use for most of those situations, but how do you stay calm and focused?
I got better at that in the last few years, and there's few tips that will make the difference in your journey. First, sleep.
Okay.
Second, train physically, like move.
Okay.
Eat well. Like it's all like basic stuff. But if you're not rested, and I have to say as well, meditation. Yoga, meditation.
Wow. Okay.
Can make a big difference. For me, what made the difference is a little bit of all of that. So before the exam, I went for a run, and I was like, just to get this extra energy that was like here, like down, and always calibrate before going for a tasting. Like,
how do you calibrate?
High acidity, on oak, cool climate, white.
That's what you're drinking to calibrate your palate, to get it ready.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what made the difference for me. And I've tried it before. I've tried it with beer. I've tried it with different things. And I was trying to figure out what was working. And what made the difference in my journey definitely was calibration. Calibration like allows you to taste something, you know what it is all about, and just make sure that your palate is understanding, okay, this is high acidity, this is Sancerre, or this is Chablis, and this is where the acidity level is. So you have this salivation process, you know where you are. So when the first wine gets, you get to try your first wine, you're going to be like ready to go. And the calibration is going to be there working for you. Yeah,
that's like when musicians start by getting in tune with a note, and they go, like I can't sing, but they're doing it with the piano so that then we can begin.
Exactly, and this is the best way. If eventually you're starting with a first wine and you did not calibrate, and you're starting with a wine that is fairly low in acidity, you're going to wonder like, oh, where am I, and this and that, and if you start with the wrong product on one, everything, like you're gonna mess with probably the following one. So knowing where you are with the first one you're sipping on, saying, okay, I'm drinking Sancerre. This is Sancerre. This is aromatic. This is, so you're gonna have the full evaluation of your product number one before you get to blind taste on your first wine. And that's, I did that I had a coffee cup. Okay, I'm sharing this with you guys when I arrived for the tasting with the Court of Master Sommelier for my master exam. It was my number 6 time. Six times. 6 times.
You were determined, yes.
So I knew I was resetting if I was not having this tasting.
Right. You were not gonna go back if you didn't pass on the 6th time.
And I was a reset. I was going back to square one, and I had already like theory and a service that I got. I had only one part to complete, and that one part was the tasting. So when I arrived there, pressure was here, and I was like, okay. So I put in a coffee cup some Sancerre. Because I didn't know how much time I would wait before they come and get me. So getting the Sancerre in my coffee cup, arriving for the tasting, and waiting for my name to be called, and I was barely arrived. They said like, "Oh, Elyse, please join me." So I was
wow.
tipping the coffee cup, threw it away, and left with the Sancerre in my mouth, thinking, okay, this is my calibration. And then I'm going to arrive in 3 minutes and start my tasting.
Right, and it worked. And I should just say, it's an exceptionally low pass rate. 6 times is not uncommon. I've heard for the Master of Wine, the other program, it's 10%. I think it's that low or somewhere around there for the Master Sommelier. These are really, really hard exams that take years to finally pass and prepare for. So, one thing I was going to ask you, Elyse, is that in some and in the competitions where I've seen you compete, the way you talk about the wine in front of the judges is very specific. It's not like, oh, I'm getting some apple, whatever. It's boom, 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 this rapid fire. Can you give us a sample of, you've got a wine there, but can you give us a sample of how you would talk about a wine in competition?
Basically, for the Master Sommelier, there's a tasting grid that is expected that you have to follow. If you want to get this Master Sommelier title, you follow the grid. If you're not following the grid, it's recipe for disaster for the future of your red pin. Okay. So as you go for a competition for Best of Canada, Best of the World, or so on, you do need to speak a little bit less technically and a little bit more into something where you're going to speak to a person. Like the evaluation of the Master Sommelier is done in a very rigid way because I want you as a judge to be able to understand if I understand the wine. So that's why we're talking medium plus, high, because high is high. It's not like, there's a lot of acidity. Well, a lot of acidity is how much. So
more precise.
To be very precise in the way you taste for the Master Sommelier, as when you get into competition, you want to be a little bit more poetic in the way you're going to speak. Okay. So you're going to start like with the 3-step visual, olfactory, and taste, of course. Then you're going to wrap this up in an initial conclusion and bring the baby home for a final conclusion.
Of what you think it is.
Yes. What you think it is.
Okay.
So basically, if you have, now I do have a wine for my article of tomorrow.
Yes, it's research, yes.
It's research, yes. I'm drinking Corbière from Chateau Lastour.
A southern French wine from a warm region. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, we can see it. Chateau Lastour.
Lastour. It's the cuvée Simone Desquin. I'm working on a paper on fondue and raclette.
Oh, nice.
So, fondue, like Chinese fondue and stuff. You want to have a red that won't be too tannic. You want to have something that's going to have a little bit of personality still. Yeah. And that's going to be going with different type of food. So for me, Corbière was the way to go. I've tried it last week. I really liked it. And I was like, that could be a good fit for my fondue. Absolutely. So basically, you're going to start with the color, and the evaluation of the color is going to be based on first the color itself, and then the intensity of it. So here we have a deep purple color.
Can you hold it up so we can see the glass? Oh, there we go. Yeah, and just maybe pretend you're in either competition or Master Sommelier. How would you tell us if we were the judges?
So the evaluation I would make from this wine would be first on the visual, deep purple color with a very small pinkish rim, no presence of gas or sediment, medium viscosity, no staining of the glass.
Okay.
Then you are going to go on the nose and do the evaluation. So the nose is clean. There's no fault to it. I've checked it before. It's medium aromatic with aromas of lots of black fruit, and the fruit is quite ripe. It's slightly jammy as well. We're more on plum, just a touch of dry plum and dried cranberry. Okay. We do have a little bit of pomegranate as well. And tons of spices, licorice, and it's all the baking spices, a little bit of nutmeg and some cacao. But on the other side, you do have a little bit of forest floor as well. That is quite interesting. Bring a little bit of depth and some a little bit of gaminess attached to it.
Wow.
And a touch of oak on it. You feel it with the baking spices. Okay. On the palate.
It's an amazing vocabulary you have.
Trying as much as I can to to share this for you to understand what I'm drinking.
Yeah, no, that's great.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
When you do a tasting, always put yourself in the idea that if you had someone in front of you, try to describe as precisely as you can what you smell and what you taste.
Right.
Like if they were trying this wine. So on the palate, the wine is dry. It's medium bodied. The tannins are medium, but they're silky tannin, very fine and very refined and grainy, just slightly grainy tannins. You do have this medium plus acidity there. There's a little bit of heat coming from this wine. It's 14.5. So the heat, you feel it on the cheek. Mm-hmm. So that's just slightly high for me. The temperature is starting to be a little bit warm. I got it out of the cellar a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, terrific. Wow. And how did you develop that wide vocabulary you're using? Is it just practice, or do you use a vin de nez? Are you smelling vegetables and fruits, or is it a combination of things?
Life is bringing you tons of different smell all the time, each and every day. Yeah. So yes, it's to. I was always very curious. I had my nose everywhere when I was young. I was in the garden with my grandma. I was cooking with her. My mom was cooking a lot as well. So this develops a lot your sensitivity to aromas. But notice that there's so many possibility for you to smell and taste on a daily basis. Just take those opportunities, but bank them up. You have to keep this in your repertoire. Yeah. But make sure that you can relate to some terms that people will be able to find as well. What I'm saying is, if it smells like your grandma's cupboard, well, you're the only one that knows what your grandma's cupboard smells like. Right. So you want to use terms that people will understand. Oh, it's dried raisins, like this little sun-made bucks. So if you think of a specific smell, use aromatic that people will be able to relate to, and that's super important. Be as specific as possible as well. But it's all things that you develop with experience.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice, Elyse. And sorry, folks, I have been so wrapped up in this conversation. I know your comments are flying by. So Tim says, is there a region that produces wine that deserves a higher profile here in Canada, in your opinion, Elyse?
A region from Canada?
In Canada, that should have a higher profile than it does.
Prince Edward County.
Okay. I'll agree with you on that for sure. Yeah,
I think that we have beautiful wine coming from there. Mm-hmm. I would say that would be my number one right now, and it's still a small region, but there is some key producer there that are making the difference, definitely.
And can you name a few of the ones that really stand out for you, producers?
My number one, Norman Hardy.
Yes,
Norman Hardy and Norman Hardy and Norman Hardy.
We interviewed him too. He's great. What a superstar.
I think he's just amazing, and I love his wines. He's working with a little bit of reduction on his wine, and reduction, absence of oxygen, brings some notes that reminds you sometimes a little bit of Burgundy. Maybe that's the reason I like his wine so much. But I met him; he was just starting, and with his Gamay and Baron Bourgogne, he works wine his way, but I think there's a real identity that is starting to be defined from that. Mm-hmm. Niagara Peninsula is doing some amazing stuff too, and from Harold Field, from Hidden Bench to Cave Spring to if you're more into natural or experimental wine, Pearl Marisette, there's tons of great people working, from Southbrook. If you want to explore their orange wine.
Oh, their orange wine is so good, from Anne Sperling. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Anne is just amazing. She's great. So there's I think so many regions that are right now starting to emerge, but as well as some key producer. I'm thinking of Benjamin Bridge.
Yes, Nova Scotia, yes. Yeah.
That is doing fabulous sparkling wine. So there's a little bit of everything right now in Canada.
Yes, isn't there?
And it's still a baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Still in the beginning stages. Thank you for that comment, Alan. I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation. Dave had, what would be the most overrated French first growth in your opinion? Oh, that's a pointed question.
Can I answer this? No.
No, okay.
Overrated first growth.
Probably.
I think there are some fifth and second and third that would deserve to be higher.
Good way to put it.
To reserve to reverse this question.
Yes.
Such as Lambert.
Yes.
Is just amazing. Pichon Longueville Comtesse should be, they're touching perfection right now, and some fabulous producer I'm thinking that are not classified. Malais should be part of like what's great and amazing right now. So.
All right. So there's
classification is not everything.
Sure.
Lagrange is amazing for the price as well. So I don't want to lower some of them. I want to push up some other. I think it's a better way to do things.
Absolutely. Very diplomatic too, Elyse. So folks, if you are just joining us now, we have been chatting with Elyse Lambert, Canada's best sommelier, came 5th in the world. She's a master sommelier. If you are enjoying this conversation, please take a moment to share it. And you'll find that share button. I'm sure you're aware of where that is, right near the top. And it's always better when you can put a comment with it. And if you want to know when we go live with these conversations every week at 6, then click on the follow button. And for those of you who do share, of course, next week we will draw for those who comment, share, 2 winners. One each will get a book. And don't forget to stick around till the end of this broadcast when I'm going to announce last week's winner, $100 gift certificate. So that's coming up. All right. So Sam says, is there any need for a somm to know wines from small regions that do not have wide distribution? For example, BC produces excellent wines, but in very small quantities and with little availability outside the province. That's a good question, Sam. What do you think, Elyse?
I think what's important is to put in context who you work for or what in which restaurant you are.
Right.
If as my need if I'm working in a restaurant is to understand like, what is my wine list all about? So learning first and foremost what's important for the clientele and keeping curious. But if there's no distribution, if you need to study for competition, yes, you'll need to know those things. Particularly if you're working to become best of Canada, knowing everything inside out from the country is going to be important. But after that, I was lately working in a Italian restaurant. So my main focus has been on Italian wine because I wanted to be like first and foremost comfortable with the most important part of my wine list.
Right.
So making sure you focus on the right thing in regard of, if you're a sales rep, well, what's in your portfolio? What's important to know in your portfolio? And when you get to master what you need to know from on your day-to-day job, then you can like start exploring on things that could be interesting for you in the near future, for a travel, or for a trip, or for a competition, or for whatever your interest is in.
Right. Good point. All right. Shell says, Elyse is an encyclopedia of wine knowledge from A to Z. Her passion is contagious. I agree, Rochelle. Jane Staples. Hi, Jane from Ottawa. You're enjoying a dry vermouth tonight. Well, that's an interesting choice, Jane. I'm sure it's good, though. All right. So just a few last quick questions as we sort of wrap up our discussion. I could go on for hours here. Elyse, you are truly an encyclopedia, but not in the dry sense, in the very interesting sense. So what is the best piece of wine advice that you've ever received?
Keep humble. Keep humility is number one in our industry.
Okay.
Think that you're giving recommendation. Be kind. Be curious. Nice. My role as a sommelier is to take care of people. It's not to show my knowledge. I'm not there to show myself. I'm there to take care of people. And if you keep this as number one, people will remember you as sommelier or as a sales rep or whatever you're doing in the industry. They will remember you for your kindness, for being attentive to their needs. Because when you spend a couple of $100 in a restaurant, well, it may be something that is important and you've been saving for a long time for that experience you're having with someone. And you want this to be special. You want people to recognize that this moment is special, and it's you as sommelier that will make the difference. And don't forget that it's a teamwork. So if they're asking you for water or for bread or for whatever else, as a sommelier, the answer is always yes. Try to make sure that they're going to be happy when they leave. They're going to spread the good word, and that's your cheapest advertising in the industry. Keeping people happy is number one.
Love that answer. All right. If you could share a bottle of wine with anyone, living or dead, who would that be and why?
That's a good question.
I'm throwing you
a... No.
Well, you might want...
I was a big fan of Jancis Robinson.
Okay, and she's still living, by the way, right?
Still...
You said was, but...
well, because I finally met her.
Yeah? Oh.
So my dream came true.
Okay.
But I was so nervous. I was like, okay, so yeah, how are you? And I was like, I didn't want to show how groupie I was. But I would like to, I would be curious to maybe meet some key people. Michelle Obama, I would like to have a glass of
Michelle Obama. Why Michelle Obama? I love that choice. Why her?
I think she's a very inspiring woman. Mm-hmm. It's someone that I believe will in no time make maybe some very important difference. Hopefully, she does already for kids and with her community, and her dedication. I think became contagious. Mm-hmm. So just to chat about like everything and nothing at the same time. But number one, probably I would like to have a glass of wine with my grandma. Aww. She passed away a few years ago, and she's been the reason why I've been in the industry. She gave me curiosity and pleasure of eating, pleasure of sharing food at the table. Mm-hmm. So if I had the chance, I would say I would have her back for one night. I would love that.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Wow. Elyse, we're going to wrap it up with you here on that note. I'm sticking around for another 10 minutes, folks, because we have some announcements to make, so don't go away. But Elyse, thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. I just love this conversation, loved your answers and your approach. It's refreshing and charming and kind. It's terrific. So we will wrap up. If you have a moment, Elyse, tonight or tomorrow, to jump into the comments to the ones that we didn't get to, that would be awesome. I'll send you the link later. But we will say goodbye for now, because I know you've got an article to write. And thank you for spending part of your Sunday with us here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. And hope that you got a little bit of inspiration to drink less but drink better.
Absolutely. Well put. Okay. Take care, Elyse. Bye-bye. Bye. All right, folks, I'm still here. Wasn't that great? She is inspirational. Let me get back to some of these comments here before I make our announcements. So I'm going to, all right. Oh, these are going so fast. Murray Johnson just missed out on the LCBO selling Romani Conti. Would either of you purchase a bottle for your cellar, or have you tasted, or is it overrated? It's expensive, Murray. In my first book, which you could win, I visit Romani Conti and taste in the wine cellar library in 1955, I think, 55, 56, with Aubert de Villaine. He's the winemaker. So, again, that's a natural segue. Please, if you enjoyed our conversation tonight, take a moment to share it. Let others know. They can watch the replay, make a comment. And if you want to know when we go live next week, because we've got another interesting guest from the Master of Wine designation, click follow. That's the way you'll know. But in the meantime, as we're thinking through things here, what was the most interesting thing you learned during our conversation tonight? I would love to see your comments, and Elyse will too. I'll ask her to pop back into this thread after we finish up and answer any questions, but I know she'll love to see your comments as well. What did you learn tonight? And thank you, Dave. The books are great. Thank you. I would love to drink Thomas Jefferson's wine. Well, someone did try to sell that. Of course, there's a whole scandal, The Billionaire's Vinegar. I actually reviewed that book for the Globe and Mail back when it came out, and it's going to come out as a movie. I'm not sure if it's Brad Pitt or somebody's in it or is directing it or something. I can't wait. Elaine Bruce, outstanding. Thank you. Okay. Stephen Andrews, I agree. Great guest. And I might have missed some other questions, so feel free to repost because I'll get them now in the tail end, or I will come back and come into the comments afterwards. Thank you, Elaine. Okay, so couple of things, folks. So I know there's a number of you who are part of my Quick Start to Get Wine Smart course, and right now at 7 p.m., so in 10 minutes or so, I'm going to jump over into our private Facebook group, and we are going to do a structured tasting of 3 red wines paired with 4 different types of nuts. It's our Super Bowl semi-final warm-up. So we're going to pair game snacks and wines. It's going to be fun, but educational. So that will be happening at 7 o'clock. So please, after this broadcast, join me there. It'll be lots of fun. And as always, if you can't, you can watch the recording with friends, host your own tasting. It is a lot of fun. All right. Excellent, Lise. I'm glad you liked that guest. You're welcome, Anne. So that's that one. And what else? Your most interesting comment. You want to connect with me? I'm on all of these social media outlets. I've developed URLs that will take you right to where I am. So nataliemclean.com/Twitter, etc. You can always connect. I'm always sharing things there. And please come join our wine tribe. I give hot tips and sips. So join our community over on the website. And finally, so we need to announce a winner of last week's draw. And that is a $100 gift certificate toward Charles Stephen Trenholme's seminar, Importing Wine for Pleasure and Profit. And this is a wildly popular seminar. That's a good chunk, if not a third or a half off of that seminar. It's an all day. I think it's all day. Super seminar. Great guest last week. Our winner is, drum roll. I think I have a sound effect. I don't have it with me. Anyway, I do have an emoji pillow that I forgot to show. Anyway, so congratulations to this week's winner is Dave Head. Dave, congratulations. So you're getting a $100 gift certificate. So next week, let me tell you, we've got Jane Masters, and she is the chair of the Institute for Masters of Wine. That's different from Master Sommelier, equally as arduous. She's also head of the Opimian Society in terms of selecting wines. She's their chief wine consultant. So we're going to talk about the Opimian Club, Canada's largest wine buying group that you might be interested in, and also the whole Master of Wine process. She's very well-spoken, lots of great tips again. It'll be interesting to compare Master of Wine, Master Sommelier. Anyway, I gotta go and get into our private Facebook group for our course members. I will see you next Sunday. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you spending the time here with me this evening on the Sunday Sipper Club. If you're watching the replay, please still comment, share, etc., because I'm checking it all week. And I love to see your comments and shares. So with that, I will say good night, and I will see you inside the private Facebook group. Take care.